Hello and welcome to Learn to Trade channel. And I want to go over a couple things. I talk about momentum and I look at momentum a lot. So today's trade and yesterday's trade, I want to go over that at the 7 o'clock hour. And you'll find out a lot of things in trading. There's kind of this first understanding of it. And then the more you go, you get more understanding. And that's just not in trading. That's kind of with anything in life. You started driving a car at the very beginning. You didn't know much. Um, the longer you drove the car, the more you knew, the more comfortable you got, the more understanding it became. So, a couple things that I want to talk about or to show is kind of this momentum. Um, and there's just kind of two looks. So, this might help a little bit as we start to kind of dive into this. So, this is the 7 o'clock trade. It's on the hour. It's on the indexes, the Dow indexes against the dollar. And so, this is kind of the beginning part that I talk about a lot. Is this one where you have kind of when it's going up, you kind of the old traditional, the lows are getting higher, it's making the lows are getting higher, the highs are getting higher, would kind of be an uptrend. And I always kind of look at the bottoms when I'm buying and the tops when I'm selling. And so as we see here, the red and green, red and green, red and green, we can kind of see that is kind of making that step or that momentum up. And so that's kind of that first part that I talk about momentum. And that's one way, right? So here, um, I actually took a buy yesterday because of this momentum was going up. There's a couple other things I might want to see to maybe, I talked about probabilities the other day, but I still believe that this is, 55, 60% chance to win, which when you're doing a one-to-one, that's all we really need. So let's go take a look at this. Other things that I like, that momentum, the price is still above. A lot of times you kind of get that pullback or that stepping pattern. So we still think that's going to continue that stepping. It hasn't happened, we kind of had this big push up and we've kind of had this breath and it's kind of breaking that momentum again. So um, some things I dislike and like, but again, you play probabilities. Do you think it's going to have a chance to win? Enough of a chance to win is kind of the game that we play here. So 122, I'm going to double the ATR. And there's something else I want to talk about as well, is maybe when you want to go for a one-to-one and when you don't want to go for a one-to-one. Now, there are some exhaustion things happening here. It has been going up for a while, short-term maybe exhaustion. But you've been paying attention to the Dow. This thing went down for almost a month. So it might be exhausted kind of in the short term, but we still might have some movement going up as well. So and it kind of broke some levels here, and it's kind of toying around with these levels over here. So we'll just see. Like I said, you have to get really good when you want to become a trader. Is that I have the confidence in this trade because I've seen it enough, I've looked at it enough, I've tested it enough, and then you play the probabilities. If it wins, great. If it doesn't, perfect. And then if the account continues to grow, then that's what we want to continue to do. If the account's not growing, and a lot of it has to depend on how well you execute the trades and stuff of that nature. But if you're doing everything right and the account's not growing over a long period of time, right? That's the thing. We, as traders, we sometimes get so emotional of what's happening on the short term that we don't allow it to grow on the long term. I see traders changing things all the time, and they would have just stuck with their original plan, would be successful. But we get a little nervous when we start taking some losses in trading, and that's one thing you're just going to have to get used to and get over with. So, again, whether this wins or loses, the thing that I like about this in the one-to-one as well is it's below this level right there. If this would have kind of pushed out above that level, it's kind of right in the zone of it, right at it. If this would have pushed outside of that level, I might have brought it back just a little bit, but pretty good. Let's take a look. That one won, and actually, kind of broke through that level and continued to go up. So awesome. Now we're going to just kind of jump forward. It's an hour chart, so it's not too far away. We'll jump to this morning. And here we go. So here is the 6. So there's the 7 o'clock trade. Now, we really don't have the stepping. This might create a step here, but like I was talking about the step patterns, how I'm looking at the bottom. This really doesn't have, we just have this first step where it pushed away from this level. We really haven't had the green red or that down step. Okay? But as you start going through momentum and you start watching this and you start watching the pressure indicator, a lot of times when it gets underneath this and continues under there, maybe 3, 4 candles, that's starting to build up the momentum as well. So maybe sometimes you don't need that step all the time. And this might actually be creating the step, right? So with red on top, it's still pointing, it's still down below the red. We kind of had this short momentum. And now we've kind of had, you know, it's like this might have to kind of have this little breath. Okay. It's broke through there once, maybe attempted here a couple times. I always talk about, maybe this was maybe 1, maybe 2, kind of 3. This is now the 4th push up, right? So we might have to have a pretty decent little breath here, or a big enough breath for us to maybe get out of a trade. Now, if you're not comfortable with this and you're still big on trends your friend, which is great, and you're having a hard time trying to when to go against the trend, this might be a trade you want to stay out of, and it might be a trade that you don't want to go 1-to-1. Maybe you take a 2-to-1, or you go for half of the risk, because it still is kind of fighting. We can tell that the momentum has swung back into a buy situation. The trend is up, so we are kind of fighting the trend. One thing I always tell my students, the market's a lot like us. If I was to tell you to breathe out and keep breathing out and keep breathing out, and don't breathe in, just continue to breathe out, continue to breathe out, continue to push that breath out, 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 out. Eventually, you're going to have to take that breath in. The market is the same way. I'm not saying that this is not going to continue to go up thousands of points. It highly could. It could go and create new highs. It could go to 40,000. It could do all these crazy things, right? But that also might take a while. What can happen right now is where we want to really start paying attention to. Now, would this trade be something I'd want to take in a sell position back over here, right? Probably not, because it's really that first push up. Right? There might be a greater chance for it to continue to go up. Maybe the second one might not be the greatest one. Maybe the third one might not be the greatest one as the momentum is. But when you start getting that fourth one, the odds for it to go down in your favor definitely starts to increase every time it's tried to push down or try to go against the trend and hasn't. Right? So took a sell trade. Again, we had that momentum. We had red on top. Red had been on top for a while. We've had multiple tests to try and go down. To me, this is just looking like a little breath up and a push down. Once again, this could just continue to go up and you could lose the trade. But that's just one trade, what happens most of the time. And that's what we get to do as traders. We get to find out what happens most of the time, not some of the time. If you play your life on the things that happen some of the time, and they're so fun to get attracted to, like these huge moves that just continue. It's like, man, if I would have bought at the bottom of that and sold at the top, I could have paid my house off or whatever, right? I could have walked away from a job, and we start letting our mind run off into these crazy scenarios. But does that happen all the time? If it does, create a plan around it and catch those trades. If it only happens some of the time, like the walk-off grand slam home run or the full court buzzer beater shot to win the game, those get very, very attractive because they don't happen all the time. So when they do happen, it's exciting. It's amazing. We want to get attracted to it. But just get on first base, right? Just get on first base. Just make the layups, the easy things. Just try to do the easy things here and do the things that happen most of the time, and your trading career will be a lot easier. That's at least what I found out. So 48 times that by 2. ATR, we're just using the ATR times that, so we got 96. And like I said, it's like, well, I still believe there might be some more up momentum, so maybe I just want to go for the ATR. I want to go double it. Okay. Now this has kind of pushed it, and it gives you another setup. Maybe that trend is going back with the very, very, very longer trend, the one that happened, a week ago. Okay. But I just went for a 2-to-1 because it was kind of in that transition phase, and some crazy things can happen. It might have to come up here and test this again before it wants to push back down. So I just went for a 2-to-1, sold this. Um, Again, I like that. That risk might be a little bit high. I actually think I dropped it down just a little bit. I think I ended up going for, I think on my risk, I just put it 80. Let me see here. I think I just put it above that 38619. Yeah, so I actually just put it right above there. Pushing it way up there seemed counterproductive to me. So I just put it right up there. So I can adjust this. About 80. That's about 80-ish. Okay. And then, yeah, I kept the 48. I like that. I like that. All right. So here we go. And boom, it went straight down. And this is kind of the traditional momentum that I talk about. We have this level up here, right? And then we have that step down right there. And here we go. Continue to go down. I took that little quick hit. This might now, with that momentum, continue to maybe make another push down before it wants to maybe start going back up. And if we'll just see. But took my one trade, lived with the results. It feels good because it was a win. Right? It's like, it was a win. That's awesome. But the awesome part is that I had the confidence to take this trade because I went back and did the work. And then the better part of that is I live with the results. Whether this won or lost, perfect, right? And that's where you have to get through. Like if it would have went up and hit the stop loss, amazing. That's so awesome. If it would have, it went down and hit the take profit, perfect. Hard part is when we start doing hindsight, right? Because I did cut that. I only went for half. I didn't go 1-to-1 on this one. And if this continues to go down to that, 1-to-1 area, don't play the game of hindsight. Oh, I knew I should have done that. I should have done this, right? Don't start playing the game of hindsight. That will eat you up, right? It's like, oh, I know I should have done that. Well, the only reason why you knew you should have done that is because it happened. So make sure you create your decisions and live with your decisions. There's a good chance now that this might go down to that 1-to-1 area, right? But I'm happy that I made my decision. That was my probability. I thought I had a great chance. And at 2-to-1, it has to be a little bit higher probability. It's not just good anymore if it's a 55 to 60%. At a 2-to-1, where your take profit is half your risk, you got to have that confidence that it's going to do that 75 to 80% of the time to make some decent money. So have a good one, YouTube. If you like this, first time here, awesome. If you enjoyed the video, I appreciate it. Thank you for watching and jumping on. Do what you got to do on YouTube to help spread this out. If you have any comments, concerns, questions, shoot them down there below in the comment section. I'd love to answer them for you. Other than that, have a great one, and we'll see you again. Bye, everybody.